still open to dating women in their 20s.
I am not at all whatsoever interested in dating anybody in their 20s. I'm done. And it's time for me to grow up.
What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to Graham, and that's right, you saw correctly. It is time to revisit a classic on this freaking channel, one of the titans of reaction content for me, which is Big Ed and the show 90 Day Fiance, The Single Life. They're back with a new season, and I know this might be controversial, but I think I'm going to be covering this season because, I mean, this dude's life is too much of a train wreck to not cover, you know what I mean? We're going to see him cry multiple times, and he actually goes out on a new date because that's right, him and Liz obviously did not work out, and apparently those rumors of them being engaged were false, or maybe that happens later in the season. I don't know, but I don't want to spoil too much for you and for myself. So without any further ado, let's just get into it. And we're actually starting things off with a pretty monumental thing here with Ed. Check it out.
Why am I getting excited?
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Breathe in.
I'm ready.
No going back.
This is it.
So that's right. Ed is actually deciding to cut his luscious, long, obviously dyed black hair because he thinks it makes him look too immature, which I think is actually a great start and a great point to make about Ed this season. It seems like my man is finally growing up. Maybe the public eye and attention on him and all the hate going towards him has made him realize that he kind of is living his life as if he's a wannabe 20-year-old, but he's, you know, closer to being a retirement age. So I'm glad he's trying to get a look that's more his age. It is quite funny that he brought Teddy along for this haircut because he apparently has to bring that dog every freaking where with him. But I want to show just one more clip of this haircut session. We're going to skip past most of it, but I want to show one thing that pops up here that is quite hilarious and going to be a theme throughout the episode, where Ed just gets asked a very normal question by the hairdresser and ends up turning it into an emotional moment where he bursts into tears, because that's what Ed does.
I've been in a black hole for the last 6 weeks
Oh no.
because
Okay.
I recently broke up with my girlfriend.
Oh no. Are you okay?
Dude, this person you are paying is cutting your hair. They are not your therapist, and therefore when they ask how you're doing, that is not an open invitation to start wellowing tears in your eyes and crying about your ex-girlfriend that you broke up with. I know this is fresh at this point, and it's only been a couple months, but that is just inappropriate and not a good vibe. Like, that person is not going to want to cut your hair again if they realize every time you sit in their chair, you're bawling your eyes out and talking to them about all your life's problems. When a hairdresser asks you how you're doing, you just say, like, what's gone on in your day-to-day, like, happening so far. Like, oh yeah, a lot of traffic, you know, gas is so expensive, but other than that, I'm doing good. It's pretty much that, okay? It's not a time for you to talk about your emotions and start crying while your hair gets chopped off. Freaking weirdo.
I'm gonna close my eyes.
Let's do it.
Woo, 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 woo. Coming to get y'all.
So yeah, this is Ed's hair. I have no idea what that noise was that he just made, but honestly, he looks good. I think it's great that he has the short hair. The long hair doesn't quite work for him in his age, and he said he wasn't, you know, feeling it anymore. And I actually like that it's not dyed. The peppered, I don't know, grayness of his hair makes him look the age that he's supposed to be. It makes him look distinguished, and I think it's overall a great change for him. So already, things are looking up for Ed. So the show then kind of gives us a recap, which we don't really need. You guys can see all of my old Ed videos on this channel, and I suggest you go watch that if you haven't already, or if you join the channel since I have stopped making those videos, because they're some of my best videos that I've ever made, and this show has had some moments. But I do want to show you one part of his reminiscing that is quite funny here.
I moved too fast.
Thank you. You can't do that.
But she gave me another shot, and thankfully it did get romantic. Can I kiss you?
I just love that in his recap. He's like, finally, she gave me a chance, and we had one of the most romantic first kisses ever. And then it cuts to them in this hotel room, and we all remember that infamous scene of him leaning over, having this awkward, sloppy, wet-sounding kiss, and then backing away from her and simply saying, that was awesome. Actually, he didn't back away. He put his forehead to hers as if they were transferring their soul energy and their chakras were aligning. This dude is just so extra. But anyways, I don't want to revisit that because I kind of have PTSD from that moment. Let's keep pushing forward and see what's going on with Ed now.
I have turned over a new leaf. Okay, I'm finally getting the message. When it comes to dating, my ideal partner would be between the ages of 38 and 44.
Oh my God, this might be the single biggest development in the story so far. It seems as if Ed has finally finally listened to, well, just about every other person on the earth besides himself and his own little mental voice inside his head. And everyone has told him that he needs to stop dating people that are 20 years old or in their 20s and date someone more close to his age. So I am actually shocked that he admits that he is going to be looking for people in their 40s, maybe 30s, that's pushing it though, but 40s is a great age for him. And I think that's a type of person that he can connect with more and honestly have such a more fulfilling relationship, because when you have someone who's an entire different generation, you know, the age of his daughter pretty much, you don't have any connections between you two besides you having a lot of money and them being interested in you because you have a lot of money and have been on this show. And that's how most of these relationships have been and the basis for the relationships, and that's why they didn't work out. So hopefully if he dates someone more his age, it will work out. But also, this is Ed we're talking about, so there's more to the battle than just the age factor, but that is a good start. So I'm proud of you, Ed. Let's give a round of applause to the boy. It seems as if he's learning ever so slightly. And I know it's a little bit late for him being in his 50s, but you know what? We won't talk about that. Any age is good to be learning and growing.
I am not at all whatsoever interested in dating anybody in their 20s. I'm done. I learned my lesson. I burned myself twice.
And you guys saw this clip in the intro, but honestly, that is a great way for him to put it. He needs to grow up, and he is officially saying he's not dating anyone in their 20s. So if he lies to us in this season, we have a right to hate Ed and hate his guts for lying to us, the audience, and gaslighting us and saying that he would never date someone in their 20s, because I feel like after these first couple dates don't work out on this season, which I'm guessing that's how they're going to end, he's just going to go back to someone in their 20s that looks like Liz. But I'm going to hold out judgment for now. Let's keep going. I'm really hoping he sticks to his word, though.
I wanted to get out of San Diego because of Liz. She works in my neighborhood, so there's always that possibility that I could run into her at a local grocery store. And
so Ed also is clearly not over this relationship with Liz. At the time of filming, it's only been a few months since they broke up, and he honestly is so afraid of seeing her in this hometown of theirs, which is not super small, so the odds of seeing her is kind of small, but still not zero. But he's so afraid of that he just flew down to Vegas to be with his daughter and get personal training from her for like a week or something. My man's obviously down bad and hurting, but I'm glad he's turning that hurt into something positive and evolving himself. He says that he's actually lost quite a few pounds, and I feel like we can see that. You know, the neckline is looking a little bit more trimmed than normal, so let's go, Ed. Keep on that grind, and I hope he can focus on himself rather than Liz this entire season. But the way that he cried to the hairdresser in the intro is telling me otherwise. I think the only thing on his mind is how much he misses her and how much he can't be without her.
Gotta cease contact.
I know.
For you to be able to really move on and try not to get sucked back into that relationship.
And Ed pulls his signature lip bite, look to the sky, kind of flutter the eyes type cry face that he does. It really is like a puppy that is just so sad it can't get a treat. But I mean, he really cannot have a single conversation about Liz without erupting into tears. This man's sitting in the middle of a gym getting training from his daughter, and he's about to bawl his eyes out just at the thought of his ex. Like, that is so damaging, and it's just gonna restrict him from being able to move on and have a healthy relationship outside of this. Also, little side note, my man's gotta cut the neckline on the shirt. That is a travesty. Can we get some big necked shirts from some brands? Just for the guys like Ed out there. I mean, we talk about inclusivity, and we're not even including people that have his neck situation for our shirts, okay? Nobody should have to cut their shirt into a V-neck if they don't want to. So now it's time for Ed to get ready for his date, and I am going to actually exclude a lot of the clips here because they are verging on the line of TOS. I don't know what it is with this season, but TLC was like, yep, we're gonna have man-ass all over this season. Ed's gonna be dropping his towel and everything, so I guess go subscribe to Discovery Plus if you want to see that, or if you want to see this full episode. I don't know why you'd want to. You might as well just go on Live Leak and look at something on there. That might be a little less damaging to your brain, but either way, he's getting ready for his date, so let's catch up with him here.
My plan is to take Liz. I want to take Liz. Me. My plan is to take Mia swing dancing.
Okay, first of all, I thought I was watching Always Sunny for a second. I thought that was their song, but apparently you can license it to anyone. But it's not an Always Sunny episode. In fact, it's actually just Ed having an episode where he is trying to mention the name of his date and keep saying Liz. That is how much this woman has infested his mind and how rent-free she is living in his head. That is insane. This dude is so lost. But my man gets the all-black drip ready, and he's going out to this swing dancing class with a new date, so hopefully this goes smoothly. I don't know how good Ed is going to be at dancing, but he might honestly surprise us here. Who knows?
Okay, so can I ask what your genes or what's your
My nationality.
nationality?
My parents are from El Salvador.
¿Quieres comer?
So this is Mia. She's 42 and she is Ed's date. And honestly, it's great that he found someone his age, but let's be honest, he literally found an older version of Liz. Like, this is just what Liz is gonna look like when she's in her 40s. And I think that's part of the reason that he actually wanted to date her, is because she looks so much like his ex. And that is just not a good look. But again, I'm glad he's dating someone more his age. So hopefully this is smooth.
We're gonna play some slow music, and then why don't we just start with the basics?
Can we get something that's more...
We have more up-tempo stuff.
Yeah, can you hit it? Come on, let's wake this place up.
And Ed, throughout this whole date, is trying to be like, you know, outgoing and confident, but instead he's kind of just ruining this entire class. He's being that one guy that's trying to be the comedian in this freaking salsa class or whatever they're doing, swing dancing, I think. And everyone in this must just be like, dude, this guy is so insufferable. He's trying to make this date that's way out of his league laugh way too hard, and he's just ruining this whole thing. But that carries on for the entire time, and Ed actually asks the instructor to pick a song with a higher BPM because he's been hitting the gym so often that he's ready to just be swing dancing at maximum speed. It looks a little bit messy, but honestly way better than I could do, so props to Ed for being such a master dancer. If this show doesn't work out for him, or he does end up finding love, maybe he can move on to Dancing with the Stars and take that by storm. Who knows? The future is just wide open for this man. So the swing dancing ends, and we're gonna end this episode with the tail end of their date here, where they're sitting down for a meal, and I want you to guess what happens here. Do they have a smooth conversation and the date goes swimmingly? No, probably not. But instead, they definitely bring up Liz, and Ed definitely starts to cry again in front of his date about his ex that he recently broke up with, which I don't know how he thought that was a good freaking idea, but that is Ed, and that is his prerogative, is to just ruin everything for himself. So let's watch the train wreck unfold.
Oh, how are you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
Can I get a booster? I'm just kidding.
So we're already starting things off great. You know, he makes a self-deprecating joke about his height to start things off with the waitress, lighten, you know, the mood. And then they're kind of just sitting here stagnant because he realizes, oh, now I actually have to make conversation with this person, and it can't just be about how much I adore them and think that they're great, which was pretty much his entire conversation with Rose and Liz. Like, their entire relationship was him just feeding them compliments and not really any substance. So my man needs to learn how to have some conversational skills besides, you know, the whole compliment thing.
Last woman I dated was 28. That is the hardest thing that I've ever had to do, was to let her go.
And as he's telling this story of him and Liz and Rose before that, he is actually making himself look way worse, because he's like, yeah, we broke up and got back together 8 times, which, boom, red flag right there. But then he actually admits that the responsibility was on himself. He was the one that kept breaking up with her and restarting it, and he just basically proves like how toxic he is to this woman right away. And it's actually quite interesting. As this date goes on, you can see the light from her eyes leave, and her excitement for this possible new interesting relationship just dies out as she realizes this dude is not over his ex. He has a lot of baggage and a lot of problems, and this simply will not work out. But honestly, she's avoiding quite a bit by not going on a second date with this guy, hopefully, because that is just a world you do not want to enter. You know, Ed's world, it's just a toxic spiral, especially if you're the focus of his love interest.
But I had to.
Don't cry.
Sorry.
And the whole don't cry there was not a sympathetic, like, oh, don't cry. It's like literally a don't cry about your ex at our date. Like, that is not okay and very weird. But Ed doesn't understand that. We got to cut him some slack. Apparently, this is only, you know, the 4th or 5th girl he's ever dated in his life. He does have quite a sparse dating history, so he doesn't quite understand that, for one, you don't talk about your exes on a date, and for 2, you don't talk about them in a reminiscing type way, where it basically shows that you miss them so badly that you can't be without them, and you start crying at the thought of not being with them. So yeah, I don't know what his strategy is here, but it's clearly not working. So now we have reached the end of the first episode. Unfortunately, it leaves on a bit of a cliffhanger, and we're going to find out in the next part what this woman thought. But based on her reactions and her body language in the second half, I'm going to just go ahead and say she's not interested, and she's going to tell him that he probably needs to work through this stuff with Liz before he actually tries to pursue a real relationship, which is good advice, because that's clearly what needs to happen. He is not over this, and if he's so hung up on his ex, he can never fully get into a new relationship in a healthy way. So that about does it for today's video on Ed. It lacked the bit of cringe that we usually have with him, but it still had, you know, some good spots. But mainly this was just setting up the new season and setting up his new exciting experience of dating people his age. Quite an astounding thing that he has decided to do here, not date someone half his age. I mean, it's mind-blowing, but I can go on about that all day. Let me know what you thought of this episode down in the comments below, and if you want me to keep covering this season, as it seems like we're gonna see the trials and tribulations of Ed dating once again. I'm hoping most of this season isn't about him and Liz, but you know, he might go back to her, who knows. Anyways, as always, that about does it for today's video. Leave a like if you haven't already. Thank you so much to my Grim Squad that have watched all the way to the very end, and until next time, peace out.